Very good day to everyone. My name is Hongman Lin. Today I'm going to introduce about wealth creation and wealth accumulation. My partner Suhala, she will talk about wealth preservation. Yasmin, she will focus on wealth purification. And Aisha, she will talk about wealth distribution. In Islam finance, creating wealth is a very important link. However, the creation of wealth can through income derived from halal or sharia complete business, profession or trade, and saving with Islamic finance institutions. For example, musharaka is also the way most people choose to create wealth. Musharaka is similar to the price earning rate. Islamic banks, customers, and multiple shareholders can jointly invest a certain Islamic project. The parties distribute profit or bear losses according to the proportion agreed in the contract. The clinic uses specific assets, such as real estate or liquidity assets, to fund the Islamic bank in the same way as funds. And the clinic's participations and acts as a project manager. So, musharaka's biggest advantage is that it can have multiple shareholders. For investors with less assets, they can join more investors to become customers of the project and share the profits of the project. It can meet the financing or investment needs of people at the different level and different stage. Afterwards, the profits invested and distributed can continue to be invested to achieve the purpose of creating wealth. Wealth accumulation, the enhancement of wealth by generating returns via Islamic investments and instruments such as Islamic equities, sukuk, as well as Islamic funds. Because Malaysia, being the largest issuer of sukuk globally, is recognized as the most developed Islamic finance market in the world as measured by Thomson Reuters Islamic Finance Developer Index. So, today I want to introduce how sukuk accumulates wealth. First of all, we can think of sukuk as Islamic bonds that are scheduled in a way to generate return to investors. They are issued and traded in compliance with principles of Sharia, which prohibit riba or interests. When you buy bonds, you are instantly loaning money to the insurance for a fixed period of time. You will receive a predetermined interest rate, which is usually paid annually within the fixed time frame. The value of the bond is repaid at the end of period, and you get your money back. This is one of the more methods of wealth accumulation. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to share about subtopic in Islamic wealth management, which is wealth preservation or protection. Now focus on takaful. Takaful means responsibility, guarantee, collective assurance, and mutual undertaking. takaful is founded on a cooperative arrangement which is ta'awun based on principle of mutuality and solidarity encompassing the elements of joint indemnity and common interest. The spiritual basis through the act of tabarruk which participant will receive God's grace and blessing in life hereafter. The art of charity allows any participant to use the money when needed in the tabarruk fund of the related takaful products, which can be equivalent to the act of charity and benevolence. The concept of takaful are mutual risk sharing, zero or no claim cashback policy, and Sharia compliant. First, mutual risk sharing. The risk is shared by everyone under takaful instead of passing on the risk to an operator like conventional insurance. Furthermore, counter value is IWAD very clear and effort and or undertaking risk of risk. Islamic insurance is also based, among others, on the doctrine of masalih al-mursalih or public interest. The primary purpose is on the doctrine of the primary purpose is to lessen the burden of members of the community caused by the occurrence of certain loss and damage. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, narrated by Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas radhiyallahu anhu, the Holy Prophet said, "It is better for you to leave your offspring wealthy than you leave them poor asking others for help." In the takaful concept, we should help people facing problems who need financial help. Second, zero or no claim cashback policy. If don't make any claims within the coverage span, takaful provider can refund a certain amount of cash. Nonetheless, the sum is determined by the provider of takaful and there is no set amount to be adhered to. Third, Sharia compliant. It has to adhere to all Islamic rules and does not require anything from haram, prohibited, maisir, gambling, gharar, uncertainty, and riba, usury or interest. It is also encouraged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get reward when involving in Islamic practices. In support of the information, some verses from the Al-Quran and As-Sunnah were quoted. For instance, in case of riba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted trade and prohibited riba. In case of gharar, uncertainty, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had prohibited transaction with gharar. In Islam, haram is clear, so Muslims prohibited to do that. Similarly, with respect to argument that insurance does not put forth, if one, if anyone desires a system other than Islam, never will it accepted from him. Other than that, reduces financial burden to individuals or compensation will be obtained and our outstanding liabilities will be covered upon ultimately death or total disability and provides a dependence or heirs ability to secure inherited properties. Participants are entitled to a share of profit or surplus of operations based on profit sharing. Profit sharing principle of al-mudarabah and free of liability by the guarantor or any outstanding credit facility or financing. Participants are able to be rewarded in the hereafter on the donation made through the tabarruk concept and for public maslahah or maslahah umum and al-falah prosperity. Sharia law of contract practices with three key pillars to be valid the contract. First, ijab is offer and qabul is acceptance. Second, contracting parties. Third, subject matter of contract. The takaful products varies in many types depending on the needs of the individual itself. They can be ranging from general takaful such as motor takaful, fire takaful, personal accident, marine takaful, and etc. And family takaful like medical and health takaful, investment linked takaful, child education takaful, hibah, and etc. For an example, a family plan takaful such as investment linked takaful or hibah will be a good strategy for an individual to subscribe because the product guarantee you that your next of kin means beneficiaries will receive a some amount of money for them to continue their living without any trouble looking for money in sustaining their current lifestyle. In case the policy owner die during the policy contract period, the money can be used to pay off any outstanding debts of the policy owners. In Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once asked a Bedouin who had left his camel untied, "Why do not tie your camel?" The Bedouins answered, "I put my trust in Allah." The Prophet then said, "Tie up your camel first and put your trust in Allah." Sunan At-Tirmidhi, Volume 4, number 2517, page 668. This hadith At-Tirmidhi shows that men should not only accept whatever has written in their faith, but has to find ways to reduce the risk of loss and calamities. Based on that hadith, the real example I subscribed MLTT, which is mortgage level term takaful for housing loan, which is spending RM 50,000 per year, pay only for 5 years, and total payment is RM 250,000. If anything happen for me, my family will get RM 2 millions after I die, or I can get RM 1 million after my age 70 years old. So, I conclude in this session, sediakan payung sebelum hujan because anything or risk come anytime or anywhere. Takaful is good way to protect and mitigate risk because malang tidak berbau. That's
On wealth purification. Wealth can be a means of purification of human heart and soul. Purification of heart and soul from the sins can be obtained by spending wealth willingly for the sake of Allah. This spending can either be obligatory, like zakat and kafara, in which case it has to be performed after a certain conditions are met, and there is no option of not doing it. However, purification through wealth may be through optional means of spending, in which case the performer himself will be rewarded bounteously by doing it, but he will only be held answerable if he refrains from doing so. The most important means of purification through obligatory means is zakat. Literally, zakat is used in two meanings, growth and purification. Quran has explicitly used it in the meaning of purification in the following verse, which translate to take sadaqah from their wealth in order to purify them and sanctify them with it. It should be noted here that majority of the commentators of Quran take the word sadaqah in this verse in the meaning of zakat. But the question here is that what is it that they are purified from by means of sadaqah? In other words, how does sadaqah purifies and from what? Some commentators of Quran have interpreted it as purification from sins. For instance, according to Ibn Jarir, purification here means purification from the grime of human sins, which indicates the purifying impact of zakat. A few scholars have argued that purification here is actually purification of human heart from negative human desires and emotions like malice, greed, and the obsessive love of wealth and worldly material. Such emotions may deviate one from attention to God. Therefore, Paying zakat and other non-obligatory donations is a means of heart and soul purification for both the payer and the payee. On the part of the payer, he paying this in the solution to natural human greed and the desire to accumulate more and more wealth. It is also a means of inducing the spirit of sacrifice for the sake of God. For the other party, for the payee, the receipt of money in such forms pacifies his negative emotions towards society in general and towards the rich class in particular. Apart from the meaning of purification, as explained thus far, zakat is also literally used in the meaning of increase and growth. The economic benefit of wealth purification in the form of wealth increase through paying of obligatory and optional means. Wealth purification may also refer to the process by which impure wealth is made clean and purified. Practically, wealth is usually mixed up of both halal and haram or mushtabih portion. The non-permissible and dubious portion is not necessarily made a part of the permissible portion willingly. Rather, the two may be mixed due to the circumstances outside one's control. In such case, maybe the non-permissible or dubious portion is distinguished from the permissible portion and then treated accordingly. Wealth which is haram can be in two forms. Either the entire amount of wealth is haram or only part of it is haram while part of it is halal. The Muslim jurists have treated both these differently as elaborated below. Wealth that is solely haram can never be a source of salvation, and it is not acceptable to Allah in any form of sadaqah, as reported in a hadith by Imam Muslim. Imam al-Nawawi asserts that this hadith is like a pillar of one of the most important principles in Islam. Anything that is spent by a Muslim in the way of Allah must be halal and pure from impermissible mixture. Muslim scholars argue that if entire wealth is earned from non-permissible sources and no portion of it is halal, zakat will not be paid from it. This is because the purpose of zakat is the purification of oneself as well as the remaining wealth. But if wealth itself is not clean, how can it be a source of cleanliness and purification for others? So, in conclusion, Islam is a complete code of life. The advancements of complexity of financial world, it is often difficult for Muslim investors to keep their wealth 100% halal. For situations outside their control, it places significant strain on owners that have had impure funds mixed with pure to distribute all their tainted wealth to charity. Hence, the Muslim scholars of the past have stated that it is sufficient to remove the impermissible portion in order to purify the overall wealth. Purification of wealth is the hallmark of Islamic wealth planning, and it is the duty of Islamic financial planners to be well equipped in advising clients on this most essential element of a Muslim's financial plan.
In Islam, there are few ways to distribute wealth or inheritance. The ways are by using wasiyah, faraid law, hibah, or wakaf. Wasiyah is a will or bequest. It is a statement of a Muslim in which he details the manner in which his wealth is disposed after his death. It basically means that the testamentary bequest limited to only 1/3 of the testator's estate and can only be given to non-heirs as defined in the Holy Quran. Wasiyah can be made by two ways, which are by oral or by writing. By oral means that any expression which signifies the intention of testatus is sufficient for the purpose of constituting a bequest, whereas by written means that the written wasiyah, where there are no witness to an oral declaration, is valid if it is written in the known handwriting or signature of the testatus according to Maliki and Hanbali fiqh. There are 4 pillars in wasiyah. The first one is al-musi, which means it is the testatus. The second one is al-musa lahu, which is the legatee. And the third one is al-musa bihi, which means the subject matter, say for example, land or money. And the last one is al-sigha, which is the offer and acceptance, which also means aqad. For al-sigha, the offer must be made by testatus during his lifetime, either verbally or in writing. The Holy Quran requires that offer should be made in the presence of 2 men witnesses, as it has been mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 106. There are few choices of the distribution of wasiyah. The first one is to distribute 1/3 of the wealth to non-heirs, and the balance of 2/3 is for the heirs. The second one is to distribute all the wealth to only the heirs. And the last one is to distribute the wealth to anyone testator choose, but only with the consent of all the heirs that has right based on faraid law. In Islam, faraid means it is the distribution of estate of a deceased Muslim, whether the deceased left a will or otherwise before he died. The estate will be distributed to a deceased person as such as children, wife, husband, and etc. as per Islamic law. The asset is to be distributed to the heirs, and the remainder after deducting the funeral expenses, the heirs' debt, and wills that is allowed by the Islamic law or sharak. Usually it is 1/3 of the total assets. The type of asset allowed to be distributed by Islamic law are land, buildings, jewellery, insurance, and cash, and also livestock such as goat, cattle, camel, and buffalo. On the screen is the distribution of the portion of the heirs of the deceased person according to faraid law. In Malaysia, for the application of faraid certificate registered at the Shariah lower court, the total asset value must not exceed 100,000 ringgit, whereas for the application of faraid certificates registered at the Shariah high court, the total asset value must exceed 100,000 ringgit. Apart from this, faraid cases involving late death of heirs are also solved in the Shariah high court. Some might ask why the portion for inheritance for man is double the inheritance for women. Imam Ja'far bin Muhammad as-Sadiq told that the reason for this is the man has more responsibilities compared to women. The responsibilities that have been placed on the shoulders of man necessitates that they spend half of their income on women. Any given man is obligated to spend money on their spouse, home, clothes, food, or other expenses, while the cost of living of himself and his children are on his shoulders. Those burdens are on men's shoulders, while we see women being exempt from paying all expenses, including their own, whether it's clothes or food. It is therefore woman who has more portion of wealth than man in all practicality. The literal meaning of hibah is a gift of assets made voluntarily by a donor during his or her lifetime to beneficiary without any consideration. Hibah is a transfer of a specific estate without any material consideration, and the Prophet ﷺ instructed Muslims to give gifts to others. This is one of the most important values of a Muslim society. There are 4 pillars of hibah, which are wahib, which is the person who is giving the hibah, mawhub lah, person who received the hibah, mawhub, which is the subject matter, and sirah, which is the ijab min qabul, or known as offer and acceptance. In modern application, hibah can be seen in saving or current account, in loan, which is contract, al-ijarah thumma al-bay' contract, interbank mudarabah investment, and in takaful. Hibah may be addressed when the faraid law does not require any heirs to receive the right of inheritance, and wasiyah was not rendered on him when one faces death. It is known that the rule of faraid only applied to Muslim, and in any case of different religion between the heirs and deceased, the heirs will not getting any from the inheritance. Thus, hibah may solve the particular circumstances by giving certain portion of his wealth to the heirs who have different religion and the particular block heirs. A waqaf is an alienable charitable endowment under Islamic law, which typically involves donating a building, plot of land, or other assets for Muslim religion or charitable purposes without any intention of reclaiming the assets. The donated assets may be held by charitable trusts. Waqaf is one of the most important socio-economic institutions in Islam. It falls under the category of sadaqah, which is charity, and is recurring in nature. The jurisdiction of or also known as Sharia for Waqaf are derived from Quran and Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As a conclusion, a deep understanding should be owned by all Muslims about all the methods to distribute wealth or inheritance and its application, not only studying because of disease as that interest to get a bright chance for future work or for self-interest, but a huge effort should be taken to broaden our knowledge for all the system to find wisdom and reasons why Allah authorized the system to humankind. Thank you.